What's going on, Colts Nation? We're going to continue our draft talk today, talking about another cornerback. Again, another mock draft that came out with the Colts selecting a cornerback. This time it's from Sports Illustrated, and they have us taking Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. And of course, at this point of the offseason, before the combine, before pro days, there's so many different rankings of guys. Like I had seen multiple things. One, Quinyon Mitchell was the second ranked corner. Another one, he was a fourth. Another one, he was a fifth. There are different rankings from all different people. Everybody has their own opinion. And honestly, Quinyon Mitchell, like the combine is going to be vitally important for a guy like Quinyon Mitchell. He's either going to go first round and early in the first round, or he could bounce to the back half of the first round or even into the second round. There's so many different possibilities with a guy like this. There's so many different factors that play into it. Now, the reasons why the Colts would be attractive and the reason why people might think the Colts would be able to get him is because he's 6 foot, 195. And as we continue to talk about, that is ideal size for Chris Ballard at first corners. His wingspan is 75 3/4 inches, which is a long wingspan for his size. So, again, another characteristic that Chris Ballard loves for his cornerbacks. So, the physical things that Chris Ballard looks for are all there. Then you watch him play, and the sorts of things that you see from him when he's playing, like you go look at just the Northern Illinois game, and he had 4 interceptions in that game. In that game there, it wasn't in the 2023 season, but having 4 interceptions in any game is good. Now, it's against Northern Illinois, the quarterback, obviously not throwing good balls, not making good decisions, but there's something to be said about being in the right position to make a play pretty much every time you're getting targeted, right? So you look at what he was able to do in 13 games in 2003. He had 41 total tackles, which isn't as much as some of the other guys we've talked about, but 2 tackles for loss, so reactionary is good. He had 1 interception, but 18 passes defended. Okay, and in the last 2 seasons of college, he had a total of 27 passes defended. And this is a guy this is what I'm talking about. When you watch him play, he can be sticky in coverage, right? He's not perfect, but he has good recovery speed. And when you see him, his ability to be able to lock in and be able to get his hand on the ball as it's getting to the receiver's hands is phenomenal. Whether he's coming back to the ball and doing a pass breakup, or whether he's behind the receiver and he has to come through and get his hand in there, he is remarkable at being able to pick the right time to be able to make that contact, pick the right time and get the hand in the right place to make that play. In 2023, he had 0 penalties. Okay, we're talking about college football here. He had 0 penalties in his last season. So from that aspect, having a guy that can make those plays but not cause, penalties and not hurt the team doing too much too soon or however it may be, right? Not getting penalties is crucial. You don't want to give offenses in the NFL another opportunity to be able to get the ball downfield. So I think that's crucial. I think that's a very positive sign from a young player, especially, when you talk about all these guys coming out of college. The mistakes that they're going to make are going to be made because of the lack of experience that they generally have through college and the fact that they're so young and they get, there might be some nervous energy there. They're young guys. They're trying to figure out how to handle those big moments. He's been able to handle them. This is also a guy that had 40 career starts in college. And the only real knock that you're really going to find on him, and I won't say the only knock because there are a couple different things to look at, but he played in the MAC instead of playing in the Big Ten or the SEC or the ACC, one of the big programs. He played at Toledo, where he played lesser competition. It's just the way it is. But something that I really like is that even though he's playing lesser competition, he came out of high school as a 3-star recruit, and he ended up being 2022 and 2023 first team All MAC. He also was 2023 second team All American out of Toledo. So the what that shows me is that there's a development, right? He's been able to work at his craft and get better, and he was able to become an All-American before he left college. And so that development, you take the experience, 40 games started, like it can't be overstated how important making 40 starts in college football is. right? He has so much experience compared to some of these guys that we've already talked about. So coming in with the way he's able to play the ball, the way we see he's able to get better, right? 3-star recruit to an All-American. He's able to take the coaching and get better. He works on his craft, which is great news. So pairing everything together, everything goes together. Like, this is a guy that very easily could go in that first round. Okay, now the other knock on this guy is the fact that he didn't play very much press coverage. I believe the number that I heard was that only 8.7% of his snaps in college were in press coverage. So a lot of times he's playing off, but that's where you kind of get to see where his reactionary instincts are coming into play, right? How does he react when he's having to play off coverage and he has to watch the quarterback, see what the quarterback's doing, and he's trying to watch the receiver's hips to see what the receiver is going to do? He does a really good job. Now, the thing that I've noticed in the little bit that I've seen so far of Quinyon Mitchell is that he's a guy that's a risk reward cornerback. And I saw somebody else that compared him to Charvarius Ward, and I think that's very comparable. Charvarius Ward has been one of the best cornerbacks in the league since he came into the league. He's very good. He usually makes the right decisions. Now, there are also times where Charvarius Ward gets cooked, and then somebody's like, "Oh, this guy is who we're talking about." Yes, Charvarius Ward, very good, but high risk, high reward. So is Quinyon Mitchell. He's a high risk, high reward cornerback where he's most of the time, I believe he's going to be able to play very good. He's going to be up on the receivers. He doesn't mind playing physical, which is why I don't mind the press coverage thing. And, kind of going back to the press coverage thing real quick, he was the best cornerback at the Senior Bowl. They put him in some press coverage situations. It didn't always go well. It's definitely something he's going to have to continue to work on since of all the starts and all the experience that he has. He doesn't have a whole lot in press coverage. That'll be worked on in the NFL. But I do think that this is a guy that's going to be able to have quite the impact in the NFL. And I don't know if it's going to be right away, right? With some of the stuff that he has to work on, again, high risk, high reward stuff, it could be good early on, but you would expect a rookie in the NFL is going to make mistakes. So he's already has that working against him. He's a guy that we know needs to work on certain things. And the things that he has to work on, like, they could be detrimental, right? We could be looking at Quinyon Mitchell and saying, "Oh, well, this is just DJ Baker all over again." Like, he's that kind of player where he might get cooked sometimes. It just might happen. And if it happens at a bad time, we're all going to be saying, why did we draft this kid first round? Why is he starting already? What's the deal? So Quinyon Mitchell, when you think about it, is this a guy you want to spend a first round pick on? Because I don't know if I want him starting right away. I think this is a guy that would be better suited for the Colts to bring Kenny Moore back. And, then you have Dallas Flowers, you have Juju Brents, and you have Jalen Jones. Quinyon Mitchell, in that instance, could be a guy that sits for a year, kind of learns, kind of figures it out, takes the coaching and kind of refines his game through a year of learning. And then you go into the 2025 season, Quinyon Mitchell, maybe you have options at cornerback at that point. Maybe you can try to trade somebody. Maybe you're just really deep at corner. However you want to do it, right? Quinyon Mitchell, I think, could be useful. But again, if that's the plan for him to not play, do you spend a first round pick on him, right? In that instance, if he's not a guy that's going to play right away for a team, that's when you would see him slide down. That's why I think his combine and his pro day are going to be so vitally important, right? There are people that think he could go to the Colts. There are people that think he could go before the Colts, right? Bleacher Report has him as a number 2 cornerback and the number 12 overall prospect. And of course, team needs will dictate how the draft board goes and trades and this and that. So will he get drafted 12th overall? Maybe not. But by all accounts, it seems like Quinyon Mitchell should be available for the Colts. We talked about Terrion Arnold yesterday and how I think that'd be the ideal pick for the Colts is Terrion Arnold. If they're going to go cornerback, give us him. But if it's not him, I think there's a real discussion between Nate Higgins and what we already talked about with him and Quinyon Mitchell and all the physical tools that he has, the game that he brings to the table. His experience is a big part of where I'm at. The 40 career starts, when I saw that, that's what got me to like, okay, maybe this is a guy you go ahead, take a chance on in the first round. So I think that it'd be a valuable pick. And with the versatility aspect, we kind of talked about versatility with some of these other guys where they can play outside and inside. There are other reports that I've seen that said, hey, maybe he can play corner, or maybe you can have him shift to safety and he can play that position for you. And I think that'd be cool too if there's that versatility. Getting guys that can do multiple things is great too. So this is something that I'm going to continue to think about. At the moment, I would say Quinyon Mitchell is at least in the discussion right there with Nate Higgins to be picked at number 15 overall in the first round. But of course, once the combine and pro days are happening, we'll continue to talk more about this, see what all these different guys did and how they performed and whether they rose up the board, came down the board. Who does it look like we're taking after the combine? We'll talk about all that. And of course, I want to know your opinions on this subject and everything else we're going to be talking about. So make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and don't be afraid to get down in that comment section. I'd love to hear from all of you, of course. So with that said, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.